August 14th, 11:51 p.m. That's right, 11:51 p.m. I know, it's late. What's going on with my sleep schedule? Well, it's the one thing that I still struggle with a little bit, the thing that I'm working on. Don't worry about it though. I had an excellent day today. It was very productive, kind of, but also not really, but also it was. Let me get into this. First of all, I got a haircut, as you may be able to tell. So I went out, got a haircut, did my usual stuff, whatever, hit the gym, all that kind of stuff. And I spent a good, probably an hour at least, maybe even a couple hours sitting at the park today. And I was writing out my scripts for my promotional campaign. I wrote a couple more scripts and I was thinking hard, finalizing the template for that and what it is that I wanted to do with it. And I've said this a million times, but yeah, I'm really happy with it. And I know what I'm going for here. And I was just in general feeling really good today. And it was a beautiful day outside as well. That always helps, lifts the spirits. So I did that. Then I come back home. And what I intended to do today on the game was deal with the dodge mechanic. I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but in the game, the dodge mechanic is very powerful, very important, especially now as I've been practicing with the archer levels, as I've been playing the archer level that I just made. The dodge mechanic is super important now. It wasn't as important in the first 4 levels, but in this one, it's not necessary, but it gives you a huge advantage in the game. And I noticed from some feedback I got from other players, I got the impression that even though I updated the demo significantly to make the dodge a lot more useful, to make it much more obvious how to use it, excuse me, I think I got something stuck in my throat. Even though I did okay, I gotta get some water, hold on. Even though I did all that to make the dodge more useful and everything, the problem is in the tutorial of the demo, it is an afterthought. Because it literally was an afterthought. I introduced the dodge mechanic into the game after I had designed the whole tutorial. So when I finally added it into the game, I had to shoehorn it into the tutorial. And so every other mechanic in the game has its own dedicated section where you learn how to use it actually in practice, but you don't have that with the dodge really. It's just explained to you in text. And so unless you make the effort to actually make use of it once you get into the level, which I can easily see why a lot of players won't, because it doesn't really get explained to you again unless you manually turn the tips on and all that, you might just end up never using it. And like I said, based on some feedback I got, it definitely sounded like some players are just straight up never using it. So I was thinking I need to emphasize it somehow. And that was what I wanted to do today, which I might still get around to it, maybe. But probably tomorrow. The idea I had was just to make it so that the very, very first time the player ever misses an attack, they will be given, the whole game will come to a slowdown, which it already kind of does, but I'm going to keep it that way and force the player to make use of their dodge. I'll put an input prompt on the screen to be yo, use this right now. And then you'll actually see what it does, and hopefully once they are forced into making use of it that one time and seeing how it works, they'll be okay, they get the idea. And if at that point or after that point they still choose not to make use of it, well, now it's their fault, because now the game will truly explain it. So that's what I wanted to do. What did I actually end up doing? Well, I'm doing all this promotional campaign work stuff, right? And I get home, and so I'm looking into things like equipment for that, because there's some lighting stuff I need. I still need to get, I think, a portable microphone for my phone. And as I'm looking into that, I somehow ended up also thinking about my recordings for Genyu, the voice acting that I've been doing in the game. And that got me on the top. And then I was looking at equipment for that as well, because one of the problems I had with recording his lines was I have a lot of reverb in my room, which you can probably hear right now. And that was a big problem when I was recording things. Same with some room noise. And so I was looking at equipment that could possibly help me with that. So I'm getting all into that. And then I started experimenting a bit with positioning of the mic. And next thing I know, I have Audacity open, and I was just messing around, trying different recordings, different styles. And as I did that, I began to improvise with his lines. And I've mentioned in some previous videos how I've been thinking a lot about his character and how to rewrite the lines and how I want to do the voice acting. So as I was reading to myself all the lines that I had done in the original script, and I started playing with them and just improvising, like I used the new voice that I was thinking of how I'm going to play his character, and then just sort of ran with those lines, but redid them in a way that felt very like, I don't know, just going with the flow, whatever it felt to me. And it just felt like I suddenly embodied the character. And I started redoing these lines improvisationally in a way that made them so much more fun and interesting to listen to. And it gave me a whole idea of how I need to write this character so much better and inject him with so much more personality. And so that just like hit me with inspiration. And next thing I know, I sit down and I'm now imagining, like reimagining, I should say, the entire conversations between Genyu and Jones and how all these characters should be speaking to each other and all that kind of stuff. Next thing I know, I sit down and as I'm doing this, I came up with like brilliant ideas, or like fucking like the absolute best ways of writing this stuff. And I was making myself laugh, and it was all these such great ideas. And oftentimes I'll come up with ideas like that and I just kind of put them in the back of my head and I'm like, yeah, I'll remember this when I get back to writing the script. But I was like, no, this is so good. I need to write this down. I need to remember right now this moment of what I have in mind for this character and write some examples so that when I do get back to writing the dialogue script again, I know exactly what I need to be doing and I don't have to try to like put myself back in this state of mind, right? So the next thing I know, I sit down and I quite literally just spontaneously ended up rewriting small bits from a couple parts in the bar scene and in the tutorial. And then I basically rewrote like, and little spoilers here, but I basically, my notepad there, ended up rewriting like the entire bar scene when Genyu and Jones first see each other in the demo, and you meet Jones for the first time. And yeah, it's like, it's so much better than the original, than what's in the demo right now. It's just way more character driven and way more fun and entertaining, and feels way less like typical video game, like let me tell you what's gonna happen next type of stuff. So anyway, yeah, so I'm super excited about that. I think it's fucking awesome. And it's really going to inject the game with a lot of personality. And I think for the voice acting, not just for myself, but for David, who's been doing the voice of Jones, I think it's like way more fun for voice acting the way that I've written it now. It gives like so much more space for injecting a lot of character, a lot of smart pauses and comedic timings and things like that. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. So now I'm pretty tired. And I still need to eat something before I go to bed. And I actually might just quickly try to jump into Unity here and get the dodge mechanic thing done, because honestly, it's a pretty easy thing. I already know how to quickly write together a quick script to get that done. But yeah, once that's done, just gonna do some testing on the demo and then upload that. And then after I've uploaded that, I will probably I don't know if I should right away go ahead and reach out to a whole bunch of like creators and streamers and whatever and see if I can get someone to give the demo some more eyeballs on it, or if I should wait until I finish the new trailer for the showcase, which is due on the 28th. Maybe get that trailer done first and then start doing that, or even do it in conjunction also with my new promotional campaign, which hopefully, I mean, I'm not gonna be able to get that done this weekend because I do need to order this equipment for it, but next weekend at the very latest. But either way, I wanna get this final update out there with just this dodge fix and also some other improvements that have come from me working on the Archer stuff, and then yeah, and then get that new trailer done. I'm gonna jump into working on level 6 as well, and have this all start happening all at the same time. Make it all come together. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. That's all I got to say tonight. Other than that, I was just going to comment on one thought that struck me today. Well, two things, actually. First of all, let me admit to something. Last night, for the first time in at least a week, maybe a week and a half now, I fell into the trap of watching some YouTube videos and specifically reading some comments. I know, huge mistake. But it was interesting because I was able to immediately see the difference it makes in my state of mind. How much more frustrated and angry I suddenly became, and cynical and all that. And so, and not only that I felt that way, but then also thinking, and what was the point of feeling that way? Am I now gonna go and like these things I was watching was like some stupid political stuff. Like, am I gonna go now and do something about that? Can I even realistically do anything about this stuff? Am I better off for even knowing about some of this stuff? No, total waste of my time. I was watching it purely for entertainment and reading these comments like that. And next thing I know, I'm now just in a worse state of mind and literally nothing is better. So, it's okay that I slipped up a little bit. It'll happen. I mean, it's midnight now, so I've slipped up on my sleep schedule here a bit as well. But everything else is still going excellently and perfectly. So, it's natural that I'll make some small mistakes here and there as I get better and better at this. But it was interesting to be able to see very clearly that my hypothesis about how that stuff affects me was right. For a week and a half, I was feeling so much better. And then that one night of watching that stuff, I could immediately see the shift in my mental state. And then today, where I was much more focused, I mean, in a way, not really focused because I was kind of all over the place today, but focused insofar as I wasn't getting distracted with stupid stuff. I was just like doing stuff that needed to get done all day, but just letting myself go with the flow. And so I kind of ended up a little all over the place. But yeah, because I didn't engage in any bullshit again, I felt so much better. And I can feel myself still getting better day by day with my state of mind and just my overall sense of well-being, and feeling more and more confident in the direction that I'm heading in and my ability to pull this off, and have a lot of optimism about the future. And yeah, dude, I'm feeling good. And I also noted how much the weather can have an effect on your mood as well. It really was a perfect day today. One of those days where it's like 20 degrees, but with like a little more than 20 degrees, but then with like a nice light breeze. So it's not like actually hot outside. It's just sort of chill and perfectly sunny, but still with some clouds, but it's like really nice, pretty looking clouds, So it's just perfect, fantastic. So even though I wasn't productive in the traditional sense, I still feel like I was hit with a burst of spontaneous creativity that more than makes up for it, and has put me in a mood that more than makes up for it. And so now let me make some food, get to bed real soon, and we'll see if I can possibly in the next hour-ish get this Dodge Mechanic tutorial put in as well. Signing off.